For most part of my life, I've only read books if I was forced to, be it school or college. Only recently, I've picked up the habit of reading books. One of my early books was Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I chose this book specifically because it was only 160 pages long and I wanted to quickly get a book under my belt. The funny thing is, I've read this book multiple times and each time I've come out with a different takeaway. Hi, I'm Badri and I'm an artist. This book has inspired me to read many more books, be it psychology, self help, art, or even fiction. Here are the few takeaways that I have implemented in my life and my art classes. The book starts on an interesting premise. It says that most of the ideas are stolen. All creative work builds on what came before. Nothing is original. The author even encourages you to have a theft book where you store anything that you find interesting or cool, be it ideas, doodles, conversations, thoughts, observations, pictures, anything. The trick here is to revisit these though. You have to give a space where these get to cross pollinate and give you your own original idea. This idea has immensely helped in my art journey. I have a whole set of Pinterest boards with different types of artworks. The next thing the author says is, you're ready, start making stuff. And that's how I started my art classes. I was absolutely not ready for my art classes, but I just started it. The first few art classes, I had no clue what I was doing, but with each art class, I started learning how to teach, how to interact with kids, and soon, I was able to do it. The author even says, fake it till you make it. And you know what? I took it to the next level. I started copying every favorite artist of mine, Sri Priyatham, Aaron Blaze, Nikolai Lokatson. I used to make subpart copies of every one of those artworks. But the thing is, I was not just copying it, I was trying to reverse engineer how they were doing the artworks. That's what the author says as well. You don't copy the idea, you copy the thinking behind the idea. You imitate them first, then from that, go to emulating them. And that's a good place to be, I think. There is one more thing. You don't copy from one person, you copy from multiple people, okay? So if you copy from one person, that's plagiarism. But if you copy from multiple people, that's research. The author says, write what you like. There are two events in my early art career. One, where I began my art journey. Two, where I actually began my art journey. The first point was I just wanted to be an artist, so I started with the basics. The thing is, I couldn't stick with the basics for a long time as it got boring after a point. The next time when I started it, I just started doing things that I loved. I was just drawing random things, I was copying from my favorite artists. But soon, that led me to the realization that I was lacking in the basics. But this time, since I was doing things that I loved, I was able to stick with the basics. That's when I realized when you do things that you love, hard things become bearable and you get through them. The author says you have to practice productive procrastination. And I did practice it. That's how I read multiple books by productively procrastinating my work. There's a chapter where he says being bored is important. And I couldn't agree more. Like being bored is the key to creativity. So whenever I have been bored, I either do some artwork, read some book, or go out. I do something that adds value to my life. The author also insists that we should do multiple side projects, have hobbies, experiment a lot. And that's how I ended up doing the art class. And funnily enough, my art class is helping me experiment even more as each student, they have their own interest, right? So I have to cater to that interest. So I get to experiment a lot more. And the side project thing, it helps my art class as well. Each student has their own side project which runs for a month or two in the back. It could be making a comic book, making an elaborate artwork, making a masterpiece. It could be anything. And that makes it more engaging for them, which is very cool. Putting many ideas from this book into practice, I've realized that earlier I used to feel intimidated by good art, but lately, whenever I see good art, I appreciate it and I find ways to learn from it. And I think that's a full positive improvement in me. Finally, the author says that we should surround ourselves with the best people, and in the digital world, it's quite easy. So, you know what I have done? I have two Instagram accounts. One where I follow everybody, the second account, I just follow the cool art pages, my favorite artists. So, whenever I'm bored or I need some creative energy, I just go to this account, scroll through it, and this becomes a safe space where my creativity blossoms. I'm curious to see what I'm going to take away from this book the next time I reread it. If there is any book that left a lasting impact on you, do let me know in the comment section. I'll add it to the never ending to be read list. See you in the next video. Bye.